Time for an actual trial sequence. Oh my god. Mr. Wright's not here today. Oh, controller fell. We just gotta screw something up. He said his old foot injury was acting up. Old injury? He was all smiles yesterday. Yes, he smiled when he said we'd be fine as long as you're there, Trucy. Yes, fine. We'll be fine. Here comes justice. I started my voice training at 5 this morning. Ah, do some now. I want to see, here. Oh, okay. My name is Apollo Justice, and I'm fine. It sounds more like a self-mantra than voice training. I'm fine, you know what I'm saying? Good morning. Yo, what's up? Hit me with the guilty verdict, G. See if I care. You just hang loose and let things go with the flow, you know what I'm saying? Not really. Walkie, don't be running your mouth like that in here. See, that's the difference between me and you, old man. I ain't afraid of no cops. Real G's can't keep it real till they spend some hard time in the pen. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Sounds like they've both been voice training too, Apollo. My worst fears realized. The trial's starting and I still haven't had a real talk with my client. But who's the prosecutor? Oh, wow. I can't believe it. Court is now in session for the trial of Walkie Kotaku. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready to rock and roll here, Judge. Tim, the guy from yesterday, he's a prosecutor? It's Mr. Gavin's brother. Long time no see, Prosecutor Gavin. Where were you taking a leave of absence? You know that little band I started in my free time? Thing is, we got real popular. Hard to say 9 to your fans when 3 of your singles go platinum, yeah? I see. To be honest, I was a little concerned. I feared you might still be distraught over that one trial. Not to worry, Herr Judge. I wouldn't miss this day in court for the world. It's worth even more than VIP passes to one of my concerts, yeah? How could I pass up a chance to see the true strength of the little boy who bested my brother? It was worth canceling a show or two. Understood. You may give your opening statements to the court. Before that, I was thinking, is the air in this courtroom not a bit serious? It is a court of law. That's no way to get the crowd jumping, Herr Judge. You're not supposed to jump. This is a courtroom. Achtung, baby. Today we play it my way. What's that noise? Sometimes you have to get on up in order to get down to prosecuting. This is super crazy. The victim, Pal Maractus, director of the Maractus Clinic. The scene, People Park. He was found pulling a noodle stand. What in the world is a doctor doing pulling a noodle stand? Yes, I believe you will only find that out by asking the defendant right here, right now. Because it's an undeniable truth that he shot the victim. What do you mean undeniable? If you are to glare at anyone, Herr Justice, glare at the punk in the defendant's chair. This crime was witnessed quite clearly, you see. Very well. Please admit this witness to the court. I don't get the pun. Because I'm stupid. 9, not yet. First, there's little matter to be cleaned up. Oh, malpractice. Ah, I get it. I get it. Did you talk without the accompaniment? I swear I could see the guitar for a second. What is it, Prosecutor Gavin? The motive, Herr Judge. Why did the little punk do it? Why did he kill the director of the Maractus Clinic? Objection! Not so fast. The defendant doesn't have to explain that. Oh, but what if the defendant specifically requests to do so, as he did this morning? I want to give a shout out to all my homies, I believe he said. What? I always say that on stage. You should hit the crowd with speed and ferocity. Sounds like he got you good, huh, Polly? Well, this is highly unusual, but the court will now hear from the defendant concerning his motive in the crime. So you, son, are the defendant. Waki, are you? I ain't your son, old man. You step to a Kataki, you best be prepared to step strong. You step to a public official, you better be prepared to step into jail. You gotta hand it to him, Waki sure has guts. Not his guts I'm worried about. Well then, the court will now hear testimony on the defendant's motive. From the defendant himself. I'll tell you one thing, that doctor was a quacker. Well, I can't say that. Why'd I say that? I can't say that on Twitch. Can you not say that? Someone had to show him what's what. I was in his clinic about half a year ago. He messed up my ops something bad. And then he just lets me go without a word. See you later, bye. So I gotta go in and get another doc to patch me up again. That was the day I had done figured it out. No OG's gonna let that pass. That's why I went to his pad that night. Know what I'm saying? You're saying you were one of the victim's patients. A lot of stuff goes down when you're keeping it real on the street, true that. I tell you one thing, that doc was whack. Very well, the defense may begin the cross-examination. First of all, the word you're looking for is quack. And isn't that a little harsh? He's your family doctor. Who asked you, Pointy Locks? Just who do you think you are? Oh, you're a lawyer? Look, I ain't trying to hear that. He was a quacker, plain and simple. By someone, you mean... Was there anyone with the score to settle with this doctor besides you, right? You better ask somebody else, Holmes. What do I care? I made up my own mind and did what had to be done straight gangsta style. Why were you so mad at this doctor? Yo, sit back and listen while I drop it, J-Man. I was in his clinic half a year ago. So you were a patient at the Maractus Clinic half a year ago. For what reason? I had what you might call a mark of honor. And you explained precisely what was wrong. You had a little run-in with the Rivales family. That's when I pulled a Jack move. I got shot. According to my sources, you couldn't stand the stress of waiting, and ran in 15 minutes before the appointed time by yourself. Hey, I was more than a match for those guys. So you were carried to the Maractus Clinic from there? Apparently, he was shot in the heart. Shot in the heart, and he's still alive? I can catch bullets between my teeth. Oh, thanks. But I never learned how to catch them with my heart. The bullet stopped just short of my thumper, you know what I'm saying? I would have been golden if it weren't for that whack doc. Can't even take out a stupid bullet. So as you say, the surgery was a failure. They ain't all of it, Holmes. So he's Iron Man, basically? What do you mean he just let you go without a word? What do you think it means? It's whack, that's what. I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds bad. It sounds as though Herr Doctor wished to hide his mistake. This is why he let the defendant go. He's a liar, straight up. He's a badder G than me. So this bullet is still the... You know it, I can still feel it. Right there in my chest, pressing up against my heart. Your words are like a bullet shot straight into my heart. Or something to that effect. Incidentally, that's from one of our hit singles. Well, that sounds like a straightforward case of malpractice. Word, J-Man. Weren't no accident, that's faux shizzle. It seems that there were issues with this doctor. Man, putting him down was like doing the world a favor. Waki, please consult your lawyer before saying things like that. Chin up, Apollo, back straight. But why did this mistake only come to light that day? It was found during the family health checkup. The family health checkup? That was the wackest thing of all us G's lining up taking eye exams and all that. Better to die young than fade away, bzoy. Relief to hear. What's a relief? Oh, did your father not tell you? That bullet you carry so close to your heart, if not attended to immediately, it could kill you. What? What? Bullets kill? What? Herr Dr. Maractus had knowledge concerning this ticking time bomb in you. Knowledge that could have saved your life. No, wait, that's whacked. There is proof. Your checkup report. June 14th. Ironic that you would kill the one man capable of helping you. You're almost as careless as he was. Well, now that the place is hopping, let's get this gig started. Started? You've had enough of a warm-up act, yeah? It's time to hear from the witness. Maki sure is quiet all of a sudden. I'm a little uneasy myself. Is this Gavin's strategy? Okay. So you will tell us your name and occupation. My name is Wesley Stickler. By occupation, I take it of profits in society large and sports livelihood under which development numbers confess to being unemployed. However, we must acknowledge the meaning of identity, which is commonly attached to the notion of occupation. Once we have accepted this reality, we'll see that our confusion is not gestalt per se, but derives from the vagueness inherent in all representations of thought, which he means to say that he is a student. Junior Ivy University, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, in the Department of Science and Engineering. Filled with curiosity for all things, I spent my days in pursuit of truth, honing my... Herr Stickler, please direct said curiosity to the case at hand today. Very well, Mr. Stickler. Please testify to the court about what you saw on the night of the crime. Understand the Homo sapiens possess the design to receive and interpret data, sending images in the form of signals. That night, I passed through the park on my way home from shopping when I saw them. One man pulling a stand, another man facing. I saw them quite clearly. The man facing the victim was the defendant. In his hand, he held, yes, a pistol. It was pointed at the man pulling the stand, but there's a knife, though. A shot. The bullet hit the man pulling the stand from the front, square in the forehead. Was there anyone else in the park at that time? I can say with 100% accuracy, there was not. The pistol our witness refers to is this. The court accepts this into evidence. The fingerprints were wiped. 2 bullets were fired. Nothing. Don't point at me. Don't worry, I can handle myself around guns. Magic guns, at least the ones that pigeons come out of. Very reassuring. Okay, I just pointed a gun at Apollo. 2 rounds were fired, fingerprints were wiped. Trucy, why are you staring at like that at the witness? That man. I can't help but feel I've seen him somewhere before. Square in the forehead. But that's to the right temple. Objection! That's all of it. I think I have a chance. It's that you relaxing, I see here, Justice. Oh, objection. Once is quite enough, Mr. Justice. Apollo, pace yourself. This trial's not over. Look at this. The autopsy report? Is there a problem with the autopsy report? Right, a problem. Oh yeah, the problem is the location of the entry. The location? You testified that the killer shot the victim square in the forehead, did you not? I've already determined your angle of inquiry. Allow me to explain. It is quite simple, really. First, understand that when I say square, I speak not in geometrical. What I do mean by this, for example, the deflection of a meter is the wavelength of a light emitted by a krypton particle. As we know, it is a well-known fact that krypton particles are invisible to the naked eye, which points to a basic fallacy in your line of reasoning, namely, Mr. Justice. Yes? Was your objection to these, krypton particle things? This is the big time and you are obsessed with something so small you disappoint me. No, I'm obsessed with something big. And there's a bigger, less nitpicky problem here. Do tell. Just look at the autopsy report. The location of the entry wound was the right temple. The temple? Mr. Stickler, you said quite clearly that the victim was shot square in the forehead. That's a contradiction, isn't it? It is, right? Final. Objection! Herr Justice, oh Herr Justice. Yes? Your tactics are outdated, trying to shake the witness by objecting to trifles? Surely you haven't forgotten the fatal wound your master suffered 7 years ago. Phoenix, right, was it? Look, I know the wound was in the wrong place according to this testimony. Murk. Hey, hair forehead. Forehead? Let us imagine you are walking through the park. You see 2 men facing each other, one with a pistol trained on the other. What would you do, hair forehead? Well, I guess... I would try to stop them. I'd probably shout, "Stop." And you, Fräulein? Me? Well, I'd probably scream. And you, Herr Stickler, what did you shout, I wonder? Thank you for jogging my memory. Sounds like an addendum to the testimony is required. But there were 2 shots. Dumbo. As soon as the killer raised his pistol, I took action. "Cease this at once, you two!" I cried, with composure. The victim turned in the direction of my voice, and the shot rang out. Whereupon our cowardly killer defendant appeared to have become frightened. Tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. But where do I present the pistol? So you attempted to stop the crime. Indeed, with composure. Well, maybe the criminal wouldn't have fired if he hadn't shouted like that. That doesn't really matter now, unfortunately. Let us consider this new testimony, shall we? Observe the diagram, if you would. The witness, Mr. Stickler, was it, stood here. Well, he shouted, "Oh, stop, please," or something of this nature, and the victim responded by looking at the witness's direction. If the killer were to have fired at just that moment, as we can see, the bullet would have struck the right temple as in the report. But there were 2 shots. It does seem to be the case. Witness the power of a junior in Ivy University's Department of Science. Very well, Mr. Justice, may cross-examine the witness. Present it here. I presented it there, okay. Wait a second. Another misleading request. You're so beholden to your own mode of discourse, you can't see how it affects you. Come again? Wait a second, you say? A second? Are we intended to wait just that a single second, 1/16th of a minute? 60th. That's hardly enough time to draw a breath, let alone make a statement in court. Now, had you asked for a longer period of time, say 3 minutes, Mr. Justice. Yes, Your Honor. Might understand you are objecting to the length of a second. Yes, no, just look at the pistol. It doesn't have a single fingerprint on it. A common ploy made all the more common, I fear, by the prevalence of television. Criminals these days are loath to leave fingerprints. Wait, but you said the killer tossed the gun and ran. That's right. He didn't have time to wipe the gun for prints. Ah, the little girl sticking it to the university student. There's a song in there. Not little. Ahaha. Then let's think like adults, shall we, Fräulein? What if the killer, the defendant, was wearing gloves? But the knife had fingerprints on it. God, I didn't think of that, Apollo. Well, Mr. Justice, could the killer have been wearing gloves? No. The record of the murder weapon is very clear about one thing. The fingerprints were wiped, which means some trace of prints remained, which contradicts your testimony. If everything happens as you say it did, he wouldn't have had time to wipe the pistol. That may be, but it does not change what I saw. The killer, the defendant, he threw down the murderous weapon from his hand and fled. Hmm. And this pistol was found at the scene of the crime, strongly suggesting that this was the weapon he disposed of. It sounds solid to me. Well, hair, forehead, any of your precious objections? What gives, Apollo? Let's see that voice training go to work. You know, I've only recently realized something. No matter how much you train your voice, it doesn't matter if you have nothing to say. What do you mean, nothing to say? Isn't it obvious from what the witness just said? Isn't what obvious? When he restated what he saw just now, he said he saw Waki drop a murderous weapon. But that's not the same as being 100% sure of what Waki threw away. You're right. He's just confused because a pistol was found at the scene. Poor Mr. Stickler, it must be hard to be so perfect and yet so wrong. Well, it can be said that I'm quite offended. Well, it is indeed true that once in my youth... Okay. I'm not gonna read this time. What we can say for certain is that the witness saw the killer throw something. Does the defense have anything to say about this? Well, if what he threw wasn't a pistol, then it had to be something else. At least one person on the defense team seems to be thinking. Take that smile off your pretty face, Gavin. Perhaps you can inform the court as to the nature of this something else? What did the killer throw away before fleeing the scene? The knife with his prints on it. Is that a sword? I saw one of those on the late-night movie last night. Great, a sleep-deprived judge. This knife was found at the scene of the crime with the defendant's prints on it. His prints? This single piece of evidence proves two important things. One, that what the defendant threw down wasn't a pistol. Two, that the defendant wasn't wearing gloves. Indeed. Oh, Herr Forehead, you're forgetting two other things you've just proven. One, that the man the witness saw was the defendant, Mr. Walkie-Talkie. Two, that the defendant was holding a knife with the intent of harming the victim. Oh. Indeed. Never underestimated Gavin is the lesson here. This court is of the opinion that our witness is fond of making assumptions. In that light, I believe it would behoove us to hear about what really occurred. With less assuming, please. It is always the same with you people. Mark left the house on foot, and 5 minutes later, his brother left after him. How long would it take for Mark's brother to catch up to him? Assuming that Mark never had to stop for a traffic light. Assuming, yes, that's what I said, assuming. As if that were a probable situation at all. Yet here you are, assuming that my assumption is no better. What this court assumes is that the witness will testify as to what happened after the shot was fired. This is where I say there were two shots. I could not prevent the killer from leaving the scene, nor could I simply leave the scene in good conscience. Ergo, I used my cell phone to call the police. Until the police arrived at the scene 10 minutes later, I saw no one else. Why didn't you chase the killer? He was, as you say, a killer. Of course, I could have run him down, yet what would have you done when cornered? Sadly, it takes more than an aptitude for solving quadratic equations to know that. Did the testimony earlier not prove the defendant's presence at the scene? And do we not also now know that there was no one else there? It seems clear that we have our killer. Does it not? Does it not, Mr. Justice? Better find a way to take to... Well, what if his pink phone was the phone under the car? Wasn't your first thought to call an ambulance? It can be said that I have dabbled in medicine. The injury I witnessed, namely a single shot to the head, tends to result in death. Ergo, there was no need for me to call an ambulance. Oh, a perfect syllogism. A proof in 3 parts, exquisite, simply exquisite. He actually looks like he's going to cry. Is it this cell phone? No. It was worth a shot. Can you tell us in detail about these 10 minutes? I stood in a state of heightened awareness. Anything could happen at any moment. Anyone could appear from any direction. Is that all? No one came. Nothing happened at all. I saw it all, which is to say, I saw nothing. It was late at night. It's not odd to think that there would be few people around at the park. So we just stood there watching? Not much to go on there. Trucy, if you got something to say, by all means say it. This witness is way too self-assured. There's gotta be a weakness somewhere in this testimony. Where did the killer run? By that time, it was clear that the killer had noticed me, and naturally, he ran in the opposite direction. That would mean he ran in the opposite direction from the Kataki mansion. Aktun, don't even think about pointing out that he was going away from his home. All he had to do was loop back once he was out of sight. Ugh, how did he know that's where I was going? You were certainly composed for someone who had just witnessed a killing. If one is to devote one's life to the pursuit of science, one must never flinch at the sight of a little blood, nor be so moved by a chemical discovery that one drops one's flask upon the lab room floor. Ooh, cool answer. Very cool. Thank you. Very cool. Had enough at last, Herr Forehead. Maybe it's time to back off a bit. Yo! The defense still has some questions that demand answers, Your Honor. Your opinion, Prosecutor Gavin? I'll let him play attorney till he's satisfied, I say. I will amuse myself by composing my next smash hit in my head. Very well, you may continue with the cross-examination. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Between 10:15 and 10:45. Worth a shot. Nope. Don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. I pressed every statement. There are no objections to the witness's current testimony. There are any number of ways to explain the lack of prints in the pistol. I assure you, perhaps the killer really was wearing gloves which wiped the previous user's prints off. Then after the deed was done, this fell out of his pocket as he was throwing the gun away. A mistake befitting of a small-time punk, in my opinion. Come to the end of the line. No, that can't be all. How unfortunate. It seems that you weren't cut out to stand at the stage same as me. Where are you, Hair Forehead? This court will now declare a verdict. Hold it. Nobody move. What's the meaning of this? Who are you? There'll be no verdict in this court, not yet. Wait, are you one of the Kaitakis? The Kaitakis? You mean the notorious gangsters? If you don't want to see me give the pretty little girl a new smile, do as I say. Adjourn the court for 20 minutes. What? This court will not bow to pressure from the likes of a judge. I see little point in further aggravating this gentleman. Recess 20 minutes or I promise you you'll agree. Oh, he just disappeared. Come to the defendant lobby, Apollo. I suppose I have no choice but to adjourn for a 20-minute recess. Bailiff, catch that mysterious man. To be continued. Right now. I'm not ending after such a short part. Trucy! Trucy! You move quick, Apollo. Good show, good show. Trucy, you're okay. I thought... Sniff, snob, ball. Don't cry, Apollo. Grr, those good-for-nothing gangsters. There are some things you just don't do. I'm pressing charges. Wait, just calm down, Apollo. Or else. What the heck is that? Surprise! This is one of my best tricks, the amazing Mr. Hat. You look marvelous, darling. He's a big hit on stage at the Wonder Bar. Yes, I am a big hit, ha ha ha. Well, what do you think? Do you like it? You mean, Trucy, there are some things you just don't do. I'm pressing charges. Apollo, now is not the time to be threatening me. It's you who's being threatened here. Huh? Remember what you said to Waki's father yesterday? You promised you'd save his son. But that testimony was rock solid. What are you suggesting I do? Look, once the judge declares a verdict, it's all over. If I can use my talent to stop that from happening, I will. Trucy, no more staged abductions, please. I'm not talking about magic, Apollo. I know when a witness isn't confident. I can perceive what he's feeling. It might not mean anything, but it's all we've got. You can see what he's feeling. Think back, Apollo. Think back to the times when there was a contradiction in his testimony. All the times. All the times there was a contradiction. I remember. There were 2 times when he made statements he wasn't confident. Each time there was a contradiction. In his hand he held a pistol. It was pointed at the man pulling the stand. Tossing the pistol aside, he fled from the scene. He said the man tossed aside a pistol. But it turned out he wasn't sure, and sure enough, there was a contradiction. Well, that's true, but how does that help us? Didn't you notice anything? Whenever he made a statement he wasn't confident in, he displayed a certain habit. In his hand he held a pistol. Yes, He's turning pages. The very moment he said the word pistol, his fingers got all tense and he fiddled with the corner of a page in his book. How am I supposed to see that? Well, I could see it. How else do you think Dad went several years without losing a game of poker? What? I always sat next to Dad during big matches. Oh, so he cheated. Could see what his opponents were feeling. You mean that's how Mr. Right won all those games? It's not cheating, officially. I wasn't looking at their hands or anything. And I wasn't there all the time either, so Dad's quite good at poker after all, but not good enough to go undefeated that long. Great, so he cheated, but what does that do for us? I don't believe this. You have to listen to his testimony one more time. No, scratch that. You have to watch his testimony. Perceive the truth. The only thing I'm perceiving is that I'm going to lose. Not true. Dad said so. He said you have the power, Apollo. Mr. Right said that. Perceive his true feelings and steal his treasure so he could become a Persona 5 character. Time's up, sorry. I can't think of any way out of this, Apollo. What was that she said before the trial started? He said his old foot injury was acting up. He smiled when he said we'd be fine as long as you're there, Trucy. On the side, she did avoid one guilty verdict already today. Time to show this court what I'm made of. Get ready for justice. You know, I'm starting to think I can do this. I knew you could do it all along. One more thing. Try to cover for Mr. Hat as best you can. I just flew in from the coast, and boy are my arms tired. Right. It's all taken in the beginning of the morning. Court is now back in session. Right, we're fine. I'd like to say to the young lady standing next to you, Mr. Justice. Oh, you mean me? Don't you have anything to report? Anything, concerning the mysterious phantom in the silk top hat? Ah, him. Don't worry about him. I settled that. You settled that? Yeah, it was an out of court settlement. Yeah, right. Fräulein would have us believing it was nothing more than a passing dream. A fantastic illusion. Now you see it, now you don't, am I right? I think he's on to me. I wish he would stop being so cool. Let us dispense with these niceties and get straight to the matter. What are your plans for our gifted witness? Right. The defense would like to request another cross-examination. Because I, forgot to ask something. There was no issue with the witness's previous testimony. I will grant your request, however, but this court will not prevent stalling for time. Understood, Your Honor. Don't forget, Apollo. When he isn't sure about something, he has a habit of fiddling with his book. What? Why can't I perceive? I'm not sure I'm qualified to watch testimonies after all. Focus, Apollo. Find his weak spot. If only it were easy. What's this? My bracelet. What's going on? My bracelet feels different somehow. I think Dad was right. You can see it, can't you, Apollo? You're almost there. Find the weak spot in his testimony. I know this sounds crazy, but my bracelet is trying to tell me something. Perceive. How do I perceive? So you called immediately after witnessing the murder. Police undoubtedly have a record of the call. Why not check with them? Wait, Apollo, this has to be... Wait, you mean his habit? Why are we flashing back to something I was just told about? Which means this is the place to look for this habit. I don't know how I know, but I know. Know what? It's my bracelet. It's different somehow. I can feel it reacting to something about the witness. Your bracelet? I'm not sure I get this focus stuff you were talking about, Trucy, but I have a feeling that trusting my bracelet is the way to go. Okay, I just need to touch my bracelet with the Y button as it reacts to the testimony. What's going on? I can see the witness's face, his expression so clearly. It's filling my mind. I can see nothing else and hear nothing else. Apollo? Trucy, what's happening to me? This is what I meant by focusing. Focusing? In this state, you can see everything, Apollo. Everything the witness does. That's great, but this is kind of freaking me out. Just look for Mr. Stickler's twitch, his habit. You remember it, right? Sure, when he says something he's not sure of, he fiddles with the page of his book. You got it. Right now, you're looking at the witness's face. And your eyes are sort of bugging out. But they are. First, move your focus of attention down toward Mr. Stickler's hand. His hand? You know what to look for now, but you have to be looking at the right place. She's right, I can only see his face like this. Time to try changing my viewpoint. What does he look like to everyone else when he's doing this? Perfect, now you're really ready. Ready for what? Ready to perceive the truth behind the twitch. Perceive? Try listening to the witness talk as you focus. Then watch for his habit. Right, you mean when he fiddles with the page. That's right. That's your signal to look closer, to perceive with A. I think I got a good idea of what Apollo looks like when he's doing this. Oh, fuck, he stole it from me. But I'm still gonna put it on stream if I can. Where's image? Add. Oh, not a folder. Add image. Oh, whatever. You know what I was looking up. Find his weak spot, and I guarantee we'll be able to give him the royal flush. Spoken like a true pokerhead's daughter. I'm a magician, thank you very much. So I have to pay attention to his words and his fingers. Don't worry if you miss it. You can always try again. Look out, nervous twitch. Here comes justice. Gotcha! I saw it. Taz! My balls! I know, I saw it. Mr. Justice, do you have something to say? All this banging of desks is quite bad for my circulation, you know. Mr. Stickler, allow me to ask you a simple question. Why did you fiddle with the page of your book just now? The very moment you mentioned your cell phone. What are you talking about? I'm curious now about this cell phone of yours. Mind if I ask a few questions? Asked to see his phone. Please show me your cell phone. Why? Whatever for? Show me and you'll find out. Well, I can't. I don't have it, you see. You don't have it? Mr. Stickler? Is this your cell phone? Yeah, where'd you get that? That's the phone from yesterday. Look, a cell phone. Why do we have to flashback all the time? How strange, Mr. Stickler. Can you explain why your cell phone is sitting here in my hand at this very moment? Wait a minute, what is the meaning of this? I just... Real quick.
You should have won a cup!
No.
Yes! I know, I saw it!
Sure. What's the meaning of this? This cell phone was found yesterday in the Maractus Clinic garage. The Maractus, wait, that's where the victim lived. That's impossible. Mr. Stickler, you lied to the court, didn't you? Sorry. If your cell phone is here, how could you have called the police? It's true, I didn't have my cell phone that night. That is why it can be said that I called the police from a public payphone. A payphone? So you didn't call on your cell phone at all, after all. Just where was this payphone located, Mr. Stickler? Well, to indicate it with a startlingly high degree of accuracy, it was right around here. That's quite a ways from the park. But why did you lie? There can only be one reason. He didn't want the court to know he had lost his cell phone. Because it was found in the victim's garage. What are you saying? Mr. Stickler, you broke into the Maractus Clinic garage on the night of the murder. This cell phone tells all. But that's ridiculous. That makes it sound like I snuck into this fellow's garage to commit some crime. As though I were trying to kill him. Well, Dr. Maractus was killed that night. Yes, but no, this line of reasoning has to be against the rules. Yes, it's true I lost my cell phone, but you can't prove that I lost it that night. Well, Mr. Justice, if that cell phone was dropped the night of the murder, it does raise considerable suspicion as to a connection with the crime. Now's your chance, Apollo. Connect Mr. Stickler to the crime. Oh, he's already connected enough. I just have to prove it. Well, do I have a piece of evidence that can do the job? Can I prove the cell phone was dropped on the night of the murder? Of course I have evidence. Ooh, I like your swagger, Hair Forehead. Hit it. This court will see the evidence, Mr. Justice. Hit it, as they say. Evidence that proves the cell phone was dropped on the night of the murder is this bowl of noodles. I assume it's the car, right? That's a side view mirror? As it so happens, Dr. Maractus's car was in an accident that took place the night of the murder. An accident? An accident. It happened a little after 9 p.m., just outside People Park, our murder scene. Dr. Maractus's car hit a pedestrian. What are you trying to say? From the absence of a mirror, it's clear that the car was parked after the accident, which means it was parked there after 9 p.m. on the night of the murder. If your cell phone had been dropped before the car was parked in that garage, then it would have been crushed. After all, it was lying on the ground right under the wheel. Ergo, Mr. Stickler, the only time you could have dropped this in that garage was after 9 p.m. the night of the murder on the park. Reorg. Mr. Stickler, you know what this means. You did break into that victim's garage that night. This is most unexpected, Mr. Justice. Are you naming the witness as a suspect in the murder of Pal Maractus? No, stop. This is too much. This can't be happening. Prosecutor, say something. Suppose it is worth saying this. No connection has been found between Wesley Stickler and Pal Maractus. That is, other than this. I believe our next testimony will be most revelatory. Is the witness prepared? Yes, Your Honor. I know that face. That's the face of guilt. That night, yes, I went to the supermarket. I must have dropped my cell phone on the way back. And when I was walking through the park, I happened to witness the crime. I saw the killer, the victim, the stand, all as clear as day. It was him. I saw the defendant at the scene. Yes, but your cell phone was lying in a garage. Ah, yes, well, as you can see, my model of cell phone has a defect. It is given to rolling. It's quite a pain when I drop it alongside the road, you know. Looks like a normal cell phone to me. In any case, Mr. Justice, the cross-examination, please. That's funny. My bracelet didn't react at all during that testimony. His nervous habit must not be acting up. It didn't sense anything either, actually. Looks like you're on your own this time around. Right, no problem, I hope. Here comes Justice. So you went shopping, which means you were holding a grocery bag when you witnessed the murder taking place? Well, yes, of course. Incidentally, the prosecution has received no report of this domestic detail. Mr. Stickler, can you explain yourself? No, I mean, yes, I did go shopping, really. I walked around the supermarket trying out the free samples. It's a deeply spiritual time for me. Sure, the store clerks would disagree. Do you think sampling free food counts as a religion? In any case, that night, I sampled to my heart's content and was on my way back home, yes. Must have dropped my cell phone on the way back. That's when you passed in front of the Maractus clinic? Why, yes, that's correct. There was a pretty suspicious pause there. Mr. Stickler, do you think you could be a bit more specific? Please show us the exact route you took on the night of the murder. Of course. The supermarket is here, along the main road. My way home from there takes me past the Maractus clinic. is probably when I dropped my cell phone. Yet where was I? I walked on, unaware of my loss. And walked right into that fateful park. When I was walking through the park, I happened to witness the crime. Which entrance did you enter the park from? Well, to be exact, one might say that I went from the entrance closest to Maractus Clinic. The same entrance our victim used. Did you notice anything when you entered? Wheel marks from a noodle stand, for instance? I have no recollection of such a thing, no. Yet, though I might have missed the tracks, I could not have missed what happens next. I am a keen observer of the obvious, you might say. This part of testimony is the key, I know it. Should I press him about the killer, the victim, or the noodle stand? Let's press him on the stand. Do you happen to remember the noodle stand? Quite well, yes. For a student of the sciences, keen observation and healthy curiosity are vital. I remember everything. I could even read the sign. I believe it said, noodle. Yes, that was it. You remember something quite well. It sure took you a while to tell us. Thank you for telling us that a noodle stand sells noodles. Very enlightening. Well, Mr. Justice, what about that sign? Could that be important? Very important. It says El Nude. It appears the defense has just obtained a vital piece of testimony. Is this noodle stand's broth really that delicious? We'll have to go sample the wares one of these days. I think that's worth adding to the testimony as well. Whatever sort of noodles that stand sells, it can't match up to IVU's cafeteria. Some apply to the school merely for a taste of our smart noodles. I wouldn't mind a taste of that myself. It says El Nude, El Dune, and he was facing that way.
Objection!
And you're absolutely sure the sign read noodle? Why, just last week my professor offered me this praise. At least you have good eyesight, Stickler, I'll give you that. It read, without a doubt, noodle. See. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Is it pity I see in your eyes? Let's take a look at our map, shall we? So you're claiming that when you saw the sign, you were standing here. Was it? Although it would have been a bit hard to read the sign from this spot. You think so? Mr. Stickler, I'd like you to please take another look at the stand and to carefully read what the sign says. See, that sign actually states the name of the stand's owner. El Dunes. Inconceivable. I'm certain it was definitely noodle for sure, positive. I'm afraid your professor was wrong about that eyesight. I wouldn't be so quick to jump to that conclusion. The sign he saw changes everything. The witness says the sign said noodle, and he saw it right. What would you say if I told you that there is one spot from which the sign would be read the way Mr. Stickler claims? I'm good at English. What? Mr. Justice, show us the spot. The witness actually viewed the stand from this location. Here. The witness was standing here, on the opposite side. How do you know that? When viewed from the south, the sign on the stand reads El Dunes, as we know. However, observe the other side of the stand. Oh, this side says noodle. Exactly. The name of the stand is split between the front and back sides. Mr. Stickler, you lied to the court. You witnessed the crime from the northern side of the park, not the south. Yeah, you got me. You got me. So what? So what? What does it matter if he saw the killing from the north or south side? It makes no difference at all. He's right, travel far enough to the south and you'll end up going north. Viewed on a global scale, directions are utterly without meaning. Actually, maybe he's right. What does it change? It changes his route. Because why would he just walk there? I'm a little scared of where this is leading. Oh, I thought this was a flashback. Oops. I was gonna play this music when another flashback happened. The killer and the victim are facing each other here. Then, at the moment the killer raises his weapon, Mr. Stickler shouts. At which point the victim turns his head to look, and the killer fires his pistol. That's why the bullet hit him right in the temple. No contradictions, right? Right. But if Mr. Stickler was standing on the north side of the park, that reverses the whole scenario. Completely. If Mr. Stickler shouts from where he is now, and the victim looks in his direction, the bullet would have to hit his left temple. Ah! In other words, someone standing at point K couldn't shoot the victim in his right temple. It's impossible. That's right. So now what we know is that Mr. Stickler was standing on the northern side. The wound location takes on an entirely different meaning. Indeed, you are absolutely correct, Fräulein. What meaning? The entry wound was on the right side of the victim's head, correct? Well, the right side of the victim's head is north. North? Ah! But that's where the witness, Wesley Stickler, was standing. Correct, so if he was standing to the north, then the only person here who could have shot the victim in the right temple was Mr. Stickler himself. That judge was on beat. Judge dropped beat. Updated autopsy report, not again. An apple didn't far farm from the tree. She's flipped this whole case on its head while I was still figuring it out. Clarify one point for me if you would, Herr Forehead. What now? Are you truly accusing this college student of murder? Well, I can't say he exactly looks innocent, but something still doesn't feel right. I just can't picture him as the real killer. No, please, looks aside, I'm a really nice guy. Oh, my friends say so. Let's hear what the defense has to say. What are you going to do now, Justice? Should I really accuse Mr. Stickler? Accuse of crashing the car. I don't think Wesley Stickler is a killer, but he's not innocent either. His unusual silence tells me that much. Mr. Stickler, you seem unusually quiet. Tell us why now. The word confession isn't in my dictionary. Their forehead. I'm afraid it falls to you to elucidate Herr Stickler's silence. Mr. Justice, you did say you were accusing the witness just now for a crime other than murder. Your reason, the court's all ears. I know he's guilty of something, but what crime other than murder is there? But evidence that shows his involvement in some other crime. Your evidence, the court's all eyes, Mr. Justice. Show us evidence that points to the witness' involvement in another crime. The fucking car. Something tells me this isn't one of those good silences. Something else to say, Mr. Justice? One more chance, please. What? Come on. Did he steal the noodle stand? Did he steal the panties? He stole the fucking panties. Women's underwear. Hey, those are mine. Don't look at me like that. Mr. Stickler. Well, I can't say this comes as a shock. It's not what it seems by Pythagoras' theorem. On the night of the murder, just past 9 p.m., a young girl catches a panty snatcher red-handed. Bravely, she gives chase, but the snatcher flees, and hides himself in no other place than the Maractus Clinic garage. Aha! Incidentally, these panties were found in the exhaust pipe of the car. Presumably, he was trying to hide the evidence of his crime. Ergo, while you may not be a murderer, you are guilty of panty snatching in the first degree. Please hear me out, it's not what it looks like. Mr. Stickler, you should be ashamed. It's what it seems. Oh my god. So are we to understand that you were silent not because you were guilty of murder, but because you lacked the courage to admit your theft of this girl's undergarments? Perhaps you are not aware that my school's name was originally written IV. I stands for intelligent, V stands for valiancy. Your point? I'm not done. Now, I'm a major in the science department. And what does science teach if not curiosity? Yes, we of the IVU science department are valiantly curious. No challenge is too daunting, and what greater challenge to science than a mystery? Come on, you're talking about a girl's pants here. No, you don't understand. A mystery is the unknown, and the unknown is unacceptable. And my friends, when it comes to mysteries, those panties are the promised land. From the moment I first laid eyes on them, I was compelled to investigate for science. A full-size car tire was only the first mystery those panties revealed. A tire? Yes, I saw her do it. She pulled a tire out of those panties. But that's not all. First there was the tire, then a stew pot and a frozen chicken. One mystery after another. It was magic. Oh, I remember now. He's one of the regulars in the audience at the Wonder Bar. What? He's talking about my magic panties trick. Why can't she just call them bloomers or something? I just don't understand. A broom from a pair of panties, it mocks the very laws of physics. A broom and a frozen chicken, Trucy? Whatever happened to doves and bunny rabbits? Mr. Stickler, you stole this girl's panties to understand a magic trick. You say panties, but they are so much more than that. For me, they are an object for serious study. I wonder. There's been a recent rash of panty snatchings in the area. Were they all you? I'm sorry, but I did it for science. Each time I spied a pair... Okay. Still, that leaves one thing unexplained. Ah, you refer to our witness's other lie, yes? The witness claimed he saw the crime from the south, but was in fact in the north. Indeed. Would anyone care to explain why he lied about that? Be my guest, Herr Forehead. Me? Did I not hear you correctly? Did you not say you do not accuse the witness of murder? Why then did the witness lie about his location at the time of the shooting? Or have you no idea? Apollo, there's something about the way the diagram is arranged right now. When you think about it, right near where Mr. Stickler was standing, isn't there a... Oh, Mr. Justice, what say you? Do you have any evidence that to show why the witness lied about his location? Can I look at the diagram? Bloomers sure have a distinct design. You certainly know who they belong to at a glance. That way she doesn't have to write her name on them. Genius. I would think writing your name would be easier than drawing a plum blossom. The bull. The car again? I don't know. The knife. The evidence that shows why he lied is this. What more panties? How many panties are you carrying in your pocket, Herr Forehead? These are the last, honest. These were found in a trash can at the park. Looking at the diagram, you can see that the trash can was right next to where the witness stood. Mr. Stickler, you did. Alas, I'm a failure as a scientist. I can't unravel the mysteries of the universe. I can't even unravel a pair of panties. So these panties are your handiwork as well? That night I had been chased, hounded into the Maractus Clinic garage. Weeping in frustration, I was forced to abandon my prize. Don't you see how I felt? Believe me, I'd rather not. I hid in the garage for a short while, then abandoning the panties I made for home. To avoid the office where the girl works, I went towards the south entrance. When I saw them hanging there on a clothesline by a giant mansion. A giant pair of bloomers. I had them safe in my pocket, ready to take home, when I stumbled upon a murder. The murder of Dr. Maractus. I reported what I had seen, but as I waited for the police to arrive, I got scared. What if they searched me? That's when you dispose of the bloomers? Yes, it was a severe blow to the progress of science, but one that had to be borne. A fascinating, if disturbing, tale. I believe this brings today's proceedings to a close, and I'm more than pleased to dismiss this witness for the remainder of the trial. One last thing, if I might. Yes, Prosecutor Gavin. Regardless of where we ended today, some vital points were made. Namely, that the defendant Waki Kitaki was at the crime scene, and he was pointing a weapon at the victim. One more thing, Waki Kitaki has a clear motive. Indeed, the defendant Waki Kitaki is still the prime suspect in this case. The only suspect, in fact, assuming there was no one else on the scene of the crime. Yet a mystery remains. The location of the wound in the victim's right temple has yet to be explained. Court requests further investigation from both the defense and prosecution. Yeah, baby. No problem. Very well, this brings the trial for the day to a close. Court is adjourned. To be continued. Save complete. Thus brings another day of Apollo Justice's career to a close. Time to delete the save data. This is getting interesting, but kind of handholdy with the bracelet stuff, but whatever.